All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, as we all saw yesterday, the NFL cap limit increased by a pretty significant margin. According to Adam Schefter, it's going to be somewhere between 277.5 million and 281.5 million, which again is just another huge increase here. And again, according to Adam Schefter, the cap has gone up over 53 million in the last 2 seasons. That is nuts. I mean, what was the cap at like 10 years ago compared to what it is now? Absolutely insane. And so, when you have this rising cap, obviously it takes pressure off of teams because it makes the current contracts less of a headache because you have more money to pay. You have more breathing room as an organization to pay these players. It also gives you more money to spend in the free agent market for teams that want to, as well as giving the organization more of a leash to extend your own players, because it doesn't look like the cap is going to be coming back or going to be reversing anytime soon. It continues to climb upwards at a pretty rapid rate. So those extension talks all of a sudden become a lot more easier from the organization's standpoint. Now, of course, the flip side to all this is that the players and agents are going to be asking for more. What was the report yesterday that Jamar Chase is going to be looking for $40 million a season? QBs already get paid a ton of money, but I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. We're seeing what left tackles are getting paid, what edge rushers, what corners, what receivers are getting paid. I mean, it's a ton of cash. That's the battle, right? Because agents can now come to the table and say, okay, well, you now have $20-30 million extra to spend. We want a cut of that. And if you aren't going to do it, someone else is. Now, in relation to the New York Jets, we're sitting here right now with around 23 million-ish in cap space. But this is before the Aaron Rodgers situation. This is before the Devontae Adams potential release, as well as Allen Lazard. If the Jets part ways with all three of those players, we can save over $60 million for this upcoming season. $60+ million. So the Jets can shoot up as far as, cap space availability across the NFL. And this is not including Greg Zuerlein. This is not including CJ Mosley, who we were talking about a week and a half ago, right, as potential cap casualties, guys that, you can save, a decent amount there. What was it for Greg Zuerlein? Anywhere from $2 to $4 million. With CJ Mosley, I think another $4 million. CJ Mosley could want to, play for another team next year anyway. So all of a sudden, the Jets, we're sitting right now at around 23 mil, but that number can just skyrocket up. With that said, though, I don't necessarily want the Jets to hit free agency and just spend. I'm honestly thinking probably 2 to 3 starters. With a first-year general manager in Darren Muji, first-year head coach Aaron Glenn, first-year OC Tanner Inkstrand, these guys are coming in with long contracts here. They're not coming in to do that quick short-term fix. I have a feeling that Darren Muji, again, coming in from the Denver Broncos, a team that's known for drafting and developing. I mean, just look at the roster. And then you look at Aaron Glenn, a team that's, where is he coming from? Detroit, draft, develop. Neither team was on the forefront of spend. Let's just, throw out the mega deals all over the place once free agency kicks off. I mean, we even heard them address that in the intro press conference, right? The identity is going to be building through the draft. And that's, to me, the right approach. So for me, I really don't want to get into the free agents now because I'm saving that for a ton of videos that I have planned, one of which is coming very, very, very soon. But the idea for me is, of course, assuming the Jets shoot up in cap space, we can bring in 2 starters, right? I'm thinking guys that are going to be young, guys that fit the timeline of the current Jets roster. Of course, players that fit the Jets scheme and culture that they're trying to build, but maybe you can target positions that will take pressure or alleviate the overall draft needs come draft day, right? Because if you can go out and sign a safety, if you can go out and sign, maybe a defensive tackle, let's just throw these 2 names out there, Javon Holland and Levi Onwuzurike. Now all of a sudden, your draft becomes a little bit more open. You're not stressed out about trying to find starters in the first 4 rounds, right? Because you just simply didn't accomplish that in free agency. Now, it's very, very rare that a team with that many needs, like the Jets, because let's face it, the roster construction with the Jets is not good at all. Yes, of course, they're top heavy. Gardner, Garrett, Brees, Braylon, Olu, Quinnen, Quincy, Michael Carter, top heavy for sure. But then when you start looking at the whole bulk of the roster, it's a team that has a lot of positional needs. It's a team that lacks a lot of starters. It's a team that lacks, I would say, overall depth. I mean, right now, who's the backup offensive lineman that you feel really, really good about sliding in case someone gets hurt? We're a pretty top-heavy team at this point in time. It's a good place to be because it's a lot easier to find those rotational depth pieces compared to NFL starters / stars, clearly. But again, with the Jets, that's kind of the approach I'm thinking. Couple young free agents, guys that fit the system, guys that fit the culture, guys that we can go out and give solid contracts to, longer deals. I just don't see the Jets handing out like cheap 1-year deals to like 30-year-olds. I mean, of course, for some positions, right? For, maybe there's certain leaders out there that could be coaches on the field that want to help Glenn and Inkstrand along the way, and Steve Wilkes for that matter. I do feel like the Jets will be active there, but I'm not saying, almost like looking at like the last couple of free agent classes that Joe Douglas had. I mean, it was just 1-year deal, 1-year deal, 1-year deal, old vet, old vet, old vet. I don't think that should be the approach with this Jets team. I'm targeting young players that, again, fit the timeline of this Jets squad. So last thing I want to leave off on, because the cap is going up, and yes, of course, everyone knew the cap was going up, but because it is, you could argue, okay, should the Jets maybe take or eat all of Aaron Rodgers' money this season and get it done and over with? It's upwards of $40 million. So if they do the post June 1st designation, the Jets would pay him, 13-14 million for this season, and then the rest in 2026. Could Darren Muji pull a Falcons and cut Aaron Rodgers, take on the full money, just like Atlanta did with Matt Ryan a couple years ago, where it's like, okay, this is going to suck. We're going to pay out a ton of cash this season, but hey, it's year one of this thing. Let's just get him off of the cap moving forward. Let's just be done and over with it. And that way we can kind of have, an extra $30+ million to spend in 2026. And keep in mind, these young players' extensions are coming up very, very quickly. You can definitely make that argument, right? Especially if the Jets are, kind of looking at the season as, okay, we got to lay the groundwork. It could make some sense here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.